A great pleasure to welcome David Cosgrave to the episode of What's Next, and he is the country manager for SAS South Africa. David, firstly, welcome to you and congratulations. You've been in the role for a year already. How's it been?
Yeah, since the start of this year, it's been amazing. I've been in various regional roles at SAS and in technology roles, and I've gotten now the chance. I'm based here in Joburg, and I've gotten the chance to get really under the skin of all the clients that we have here, all the revenue lines and all the great work we're doing. And I come along at the 30th anniversary of SAS South Africa, so it's a real privilege for me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, because, SAS has been operating globally, of course, for 50 years. It's quite an extraordinary amount of time. 5 decades is a long, long time. But in South Africa, it's 3 decades, 30 years, which is amazing. And this is quite a rich legacy and a real deep involvement in businesses here in South Africa. Can you tell us a bit about SAS as a company? Where are you guys today? Your operations in South Africa, and who are your customers? And talk to us about your local footprint. What's that like?
Well, Aki, as you mentioned, so SAS next year is 50 years. So 1976, we were founded in North Carolina. So our founder, Dr. Jim Goodnight, it was actually he worked on the Apollo space program as a data engineer. That's the pedigree that he has. And he invented SAS as a statistical programming language to assist with crop analysis in the university. And it was so successful, and the technology and the statistical programming language he invented was so big that they eventually branded it, created the company, and that SAS was born 50 years ago next year. And Dr. Goodnight is still our CEO. He's still the primary mover in the company, and he still has the same energy and drive that he did back then. So we very quickly spread across the world. And actually, before SAS even launched in South Africa, we had clients here. So I had to look back. 42 years is our longest standing client, a couple of the big banks in South Africa. So that's a few years after the tech was even invented, yeah. But we opened our first office here in 95. We had a small office in Rosebank. And we very quickly got on the major blue chips. So your major banks still to this day have large SAS footprints. Your telecommunications, retail, public sector, insurance. It's really like any industry where there's a large volume of data, which 30 years ago was big, but as you know now is even bigger and more diverse. And where they want to analyze that data and mine it for insights and to generate something from those insights. And so we continue to grow. We're bringing in new clients regularly, new digital banks that come up. They maybe go open source or cloud, but they always come back to SAS because SAS is known and trusted when it comes to really key business decisions. And so we're very proud of that.
David, you've been, as you mentioned, in South Africa for many years, 30 years, 50 years globally. When you look back, what's a defining moment or milestone that you think really captures the essence of SAS's local impact over the past 3 years? Because you certainly are woven into the DNA of South African business.
Absolutely. I look back at some of the stats when I was thinking about the 30th year and how we're going to recognize it. In terms of training and skills, we've got a wonderful training center at our offices in Houghton. 43,000 people have passed through the doors of that training center over the past 30 years. That's just South Africans. That's a remarkable legacy that we have. The number of postgrads that we've pumped out into the industry, 6,000 people who've left university with SAS certifications is great. One of my proudest moments, though, over the last year since I've been in this role, we every year we bring in the cream of the crop of South African maths and stats grads. We hire them into SAS. We put them through a very rigorous training program. And then we connect them with clients. We place them out at our customers and our partners, and we sponsor them for a period of time. And that's our way of giving proper, well-vetted skills into the market. We place them very strategically at our top clients. So, it's a handful every year, but we get to know them very well. But we ran a couple of months ago our first ever Alumni Connect. It's been running for 15 years now, and we had 150 of these graduates come back to SAS. They brought some of them have never been back at the office since they left our halls, and they all told their stories of when starting at SAS, what they learned about life, around business, around data, and the passion that generated for them, and how so many of them have gone on to amazing things. Some of them are still working on SAS, some have moved into management and executive positions. but you could just see they were so excited to walk back through the doors of SAS again. So, when you start your career with a company like SAS, which has a very unique culture, and, I feel the same way about it, you develop a strong affinity with the company. And the customers that work with us, that attend our conferences, that speak to our people, they also generate an affinity. So I know when I joined SAS, I was struck by that level of passion and just excitement about the company and the culture and the technology. And the fact that that's present in South Africa and we've touched the lives of so many people, I think says a lot.
That's incredible. What a wonderful legacy, and certainly SAS deeply embedded into the DNA of South African businesses. And I've been engaging with SAS maybe not as long as the last 30 years, but certainly in the last 15 to 20 years, been looking at what you guys have been doing. And SAS has been talking about AI before it became a sexy terminology. It's part of your DNA from when your company was born, and you've been in that market for decades, really, and it's now top of mind of all businesses across the world and here in South Africa. And it's certainly defining the businesses that use AI and those who don't use AI. Talk to me about how has SAS South Africa seen the market for AI and analytics evolve over the past 30 years? Because I'm sure that you've seen tremendous innovation and change. And as the power of computing has increased, so has what output you guys distribute to banks, and the information has grown. And where do you guys see yourselves in the current AI market?
Fantastic, yeah. So as you mentioned, Aki, and sometimes it gets lost in the hubbub about AI. That SAS has been talking about this for years. Now, the big focus on AI now, as you'll know, is around generative AI and what that has unlocked recently in terms of natural language and generation of text and images and so on. But predictive AI has been around and has been evolving for many years and is going to be made better now by the introduction of Gen AI. So SAS has been doing predictive AI, and consumers get a little concerned sometimes around AI being involved in processes. But as you'll know, banks, telecommunications, retail, they all make AI-based decisions daily, and they have been doing so for years. And the more data that we get access to, the smarter those decisions get, and the more they're able to do that. So credit decisions as which customer should get a loan are all been made with AI and have been so for decades. Which taxpayer should receive an audit is based maybe not on, maybe that's a little more, they have a little more flexibility there, but they base that on AI. In insurance, around claims, which claims should be automatically approved. AI is being used there and now you bring in pictures and the whole process can evolve. So we see the future really around both of those two things. But just to go back to SAS and where we see our landscape changing. So I mentioned SAS started as a programming language, and SAS is still seen in many places as a programming language. And, coders love to code, and that's how it is. And the language is very efficient and a very beautiful language to code in. But open source technologies are everywhere now. So the power of open source, most university students will have Python skills, or is also a very prominent one as well. And there are many platforms for that. So while we pump out SAS skills in universities, we're also conscious that many folks will come with Python skills. So we've evolved our platform. You can now code on the SAS platform in SAS if you want, or in Python, or in OR. You basically choose your language. But actually, the more data that gets there are a lot of people that don't code, kind of your citizen data scientist, and they want access to it as well. So we're expanding our interfaces to allow non-coders to be able to interact very easily with data. But the big thing for us really, and what we emphasize with our clients, is you can go and build a model and you can go and have someone building something on Python. But if you don't get it into production, if you don't get it facing the client or integrate it into your app, the whole thing's been a waste of time. And actually, you look at many stats, but 75 to 80% of models that are generated, they never reach production. So a lot of great innovation being done, but it just wasn't possible to get it plumbed into the various systems at a bank or a telco. So SAS spends a lot of time focusing on model deployment. Build something in Python, but you bring it to SAS if you want it deployed. And the third thing, obviously, cloud has evolved. Now, we've got huge on-premise deployments of SAS across South Africa going back 30 years. And all of our clients are now they either have moved or in the process of moving into cloud. And that's great for us because it gives the benefit of saving of cost. You don't need to run these big expensive data centers or on-prem server farms just to run a monthly process. You can now spin up and spin down and have elasticity and scalability with cloud. So we're very excited about that. And we've got a client I'll tell you about in a moment who's done a fantastic job of that. And then finally, I suppose we're into the future. So that's how they evolve the current usage. But bringing generative AI then in as well. Why code in SAS manually when you can use a Gen AI copilot to do it for you? So we're launching our copilot now. It allows a SAS coder to write SAS code through natural language. We can have you debugging the code and have it even a no code where you can ask for a report or an analysis or a model to be built without having to actually build a line of code. So bringing Gen AI into our tech, I think, is great for productivity for these thousands of users.
Sure. So certainly moving ahead with the times and bringing that flexibility in. And it's quite extraordinary to think, David, that how much of the code today is written by AI. And they reckon in the next few years, it's all going to be written by AI, but obviously humans are going to audit it and make sure that it's coded properly. But AI is certainly having a big influence on how we code. And it's great to hear that SAS is applying that flexibility of other languages onto your platform. But, you talk about AI and, of course, there's the one word that comes up over and over is trust. And as good as AI is, the trust factor is a big issue. And one of SAS's big talking points is around trustworthy AI. What do you mean by this, and how is it relevant to South Africa?
Absolutely, Aki. So trust, I think it's interesting because different attitudes to trust are everywhere. I was reading a KPMG survey the other day they did a global survey of trust in AI. So how this is average citizens were interviewed, and it looked at their familiarity with AI and then how much would they trust AI. So countries in Europe and the US, Netherlands, Belgium, very low trust. You're talking 30-40% of trust in the citizenship. But Africans, Nigeria had 90 plus trust level, and South Africa was somewhere in the 80s. And there are many reasons behind that, which we won't get into. But it's clear that there is optimism and trust that AI will be a good thing for Africa, for South Africa specifically. So I think South Africans are going to put their faith into AI. And you'll have probably spoken to many businesses who are generating great benefits or hoping to generate efficiency, cost savings, revenue benefits from AI. But I think what we're going to see in the next couple of years is if a business doesn't get it right, if they betray that trust that's been given sort of inherently by the consumer. So I'll go through your automatic onboarding process in your app, and I'll speak to your chatbot. But I want to make sure that the decision you're giving me is the right one and that you're not betraying my trust. And if you start to see a few, PR disasters, you're going to see trust outside the company and the citizens or population eroded. And then within the boardroom, the executives are going to start to question, have we gone too far? Have we put too much faith into this AI? And can we scale it back? So our clients are trying to do it. We advise them to do it in a more organized way and with the focus on trust. So I mentioned around Gen AI as being one area. Now, the thing with Gen AI is, it's not deterministic in that you can't always predict what the outcome will be. So you can spend years building a chatbot and a process flow, but then it can just have a hallucination and make a random decision on the day, and all your work has gone to waste. We talked about predictive AI earlier. Now, the great thing with predictive AI, it's built on a lot of historical data, and it can predict the future quite well. Like I mentioned, who will take up a credit card, who will evade their tax return, which transactions are fraudulent. We can come up with a pretty good accuracy level to predict that. But what's great is it's deterministic. Once you run it now, it will always give the same output, and it will evolve with new data, but will always give the same output once you've trained the model. So where we're suggesting our customers are going, especially when they want to start getting into agentic processes, they want to start to automate their customer onboarding or their call center processes. Humans are great. They can communicate through language and text and so on. But they're also humans now making decisions, and they're applying logic, and they're making rational decisions backed up by predictive AI. We want to make sure that those same predicted decisions are integrated into these processes. So our agentic AI decisioning engines, what we're focusing on here is allowing you to have for example, automated chatbot process through your contact center, but to have, when you need an answer, do I give this customer a loan? Something that has a real, business impact. If you get it wrong, you're exposing yourself to risk. You're auditing a taxpayer, or you're blocking someone's claim when they actually should have had it approved, or you're letting fraudulent claims through. These have real business impact and real reputational damage, other than just, a funny marketing disaster. So when you need that kind of decision, you go to a SAS agentic AI flow. We will then provide you with a full predicted decision that's regulated, that you can have audited, that can be signed off. You can go back and look, why did this decision happen? And that gives real assurance within board level. And I'll make sure that while we might be making a few silly mistakes from a marketing side, you're actually making a good decision, a good business decision at the end of the day. So I think the South African businesses, they all want to bring in AI in, but they're going to have to balance now pure innovation and letting Gen AI run wild, and making sure they don't betray the citizens. And that's what we mean by trustworthy AI.
Okay, and very valuable, because that's what businesses want. And I think that businesses who, I think every business is looking at AI and what do we do with our data? How do we make our data useful? How do we get real insights into our data that's going to make our business, scale up and improve processes and automation, as you mentioned, with agentic AI. Now, businesses that are watching this right now and are saying, hey, you know what? SAS is talking my language. I need to get in touch. I need to speak to them. I need to apply this process. What advice do you have to South African enterprises that are looking to get going with SAS and really generating value and unlocking their value in the organizations out of those SAS investments?
Yeah. It's a great question. SAS is a technology vendor, but what's very interesting about SAS is we're less present with the CIO suite at our clients, and we're more present with your chief risk officer, your head of compliance, your head of marketing, the business users, the business teams that have business outcomes that they want. That's where SAS has historically been very strong. And the reason behind that is that we know how to get real business value out of data. Now, we're not throwing technology at a problem. We're actually looking at the end result. So what I would say to businesses like that is, come to us with a business problem. Tell me you're having challenges with your efficiencies of your claims process, or you're letting too many fraudulent transactions through, or you're you're getting too many false positives in your interactions, and you want to reduce that. And so we always connect our clients with global customers who've gone through the same thing, who've learned what kind of data sources, what kind of structure, what should your business setup be to take advantage of that? Like I mentioned, the models not going into production is a huge problem, all this investment. So we want to make sure we do that. So come to us with your business problems. We'll help you tease out what kind of data you'd require. We won't push an excessively complicated process at you. There are if you've got limited data analysis capabilities, there's a lot of very quick wins you can get with some very straightforward predictive analytics within the SAS platform without any code, and have it integrated in. So that's the first thing I would say. Secondly, if you're going to use something like SAS, or you're considering using open source or going with a cloud vendor, and you're comparing these various options, I'd say have a look at your skill set of your users. Is your organization, do you want to be a tech shop that's got hordes of developers building apps and recoding every 5 minutes next time you want to change something? Some companies want to be like that. And that's some of their strengths, and they're very agile from that perspective. But a lot of businesses don't have either the money or the organizational setup to go and hire teams of developers to build things like this. And so if you've got users that want, that they know what they want, but they need sort of an interface to get into the data, SAS can provide that. If you got people that love to code, that's fantastic. You can code. But what we wanted to say is get it off people's laptops, get it out of a lab, and let's get it into production. And we can help you with that as well. And we do think SAS skills are important. SAS as a language and SAS as a technology is very powerful. So I mentioned around our academy integrations, and I mentioned around our training programs. Are you interested in building out your SAS skills? We can partner you up with the universities. We do a lot of great skills connect with universities. We put a lot of folks through our training program, and we've got a graduate program where we take in people and we train them and we place them at our clients. So if you're interested in building your skills, SAS can also help you with that. But I suppose ultimately it comes down to that business outcome and how much and what kinds of resources you want to invest to solve that. And SAS can help you there.
And this is the great thing about SAS. And I'm not just saying it because I'm talking to you, but it's what I know about your organization over the years. Is the skills is such an important thing, and I'm just so glad that you raised it, because if there's one challenge with modern technology and digitization and AI and everything, it's the lack of skills. There's a massive skills gap globally. The fact that SAS focuses on this, and you've got the programs to upskill people within organizations, is absolutely fantastic, number one. And to your first point about SAS and where do you start, the flexibility that you have as a platform to scale up from starting at a small point is also a big advantage using an operating system like SAS to do business.
100%. And, the skills, we are still focusing, we're doubling down on that, and we're investing a lot of money globally at SAS. We give a lot of our training away for free as well. But I think with the likes of our co-pilots that are launching now, it's going to take away that learning curve, and that's a very exciting thing for us. So you don't have to spend decades becoming an expert SAS programmer. We have many of them, and they're amazing. But you can very quickly start to vibe code SAS, essentially, which is something that's unheard of a few years ago. Go and request something on our Copilot and get the code and go and run it and debug it from there. We think it really helped businesses adopt SAS a lot better. And we're very excited about that.
David, where's this all going? I mean, and you've been in the business for a long time. The pace is astonishingly fast right now. It's very exciting, and it can be challenging for many businesses, but the potential that all of what we've been talking about brings is certainly something that businesses need to embrace. And the pace at which it's going at is like super fast at the moment. What's your take, and where is it all going?
Yeah, it's a great question. So SAS is looking at the next 50 years globally and the next 30 years here. Firstly, we are very excited that in the last couple of years, most of our clients are now starting to move into the cloud. And that's going to be great because it's going to get rid of a lot of the legacy. 30 years is a great amount of time to have been a company, but it means that you start to build up a lot of legacy code and old stuff that maybe doesn't necessarily work very well, but it's mission critical and it stays there. And so we're looking to get our clients moving off that legacy technology onto really world-class cloud technologies, as well as on our new VIA platform, which is scalable and comes with all of these new functionalities. But it comes with a long, sometimes painful, but ideally, if you do it well, effective process. And actually, one of the really things that makes me very proud about being based in South Africa is how advanced our companies are with the use of SAS. So a lot of the companies here, they say, well, tell me what's happening in Europe and what's happening in the US and bring me on a site visit. And we do that, and they realize actually South Africa is world class when it comes to its use of SAS. And actually, I'm really proud that one of our clients, and they won't mind me saying the name because it's a public story, ABSA, one of our oldest clients, has just won a global SAS award at our Innovate conference for their cloud migration. And ABSA has come to me repeatedly and said, we'd like to talk to US and Europe about how they're doing. And I put them in touch, and they're doing it. But ABSA, I believe, has done it the best. And it's a testament. ABSA spent a lot of time going back to the skills. They work with us. They've partnered with the universities to get the skills. They take all of our graduates every year. They send lots of people on training. And they've built this very structured process where they were able to move all their legacy stuff off, get it decommissioned, and get moved into the cloud far faster. And I think they're one of the first globally to have done this. So it's really exciting for globally people to see what South African banks and organizations are doing with SAS. I mentioned then as well around the launch of generative AI. The sky's the limit with that. We actually just announced a partnership with Unreal. Unreal is a gaming engine that's used by many games. You'll be familiar with it. So we've partnered up with them for a digital twin concept, where you can actually, in this digital virtual environment or meta environment, essentially create a digital twin, for example, of your manufacturing facilities or of your warehouse. And you could start to now make decisions based on how the digital twin process is evolving. So we're really excited about partnerships like that. And then ultimately, I suppose the AI transformation of the country, like I mentioned, is moving very fast. And we're really just so happy that the major companies in this country are all using SAS, and government organizations as well. And we think along with bringing in the trustworthy element, it's something you're going to hear us talking a lot about. we can really help, get that transformation of the lives of citizens like you and me, Aki, and the consumers in the country while not breaking the trust. I'm really excited about it. And I suppose the brand that we've built is very strong. We are trusted as a vendor. People know we're not going anywhere. And I think that's what gives us the edge. I think we'll be around for many years to come, Aki.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. Thank you so much. He's certainly very inspirational. David Cosgrave, the country manager at SAS South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of What's Next, David.
Thank you, Aki. Pleasure.